Hi everyone! Today I'll be doing exactly what the title says, which is talking about the evolution of Harley Quinn's costumes while also sewing her new dress. Why, you ask? Well, even though I've been cosplaying for 5+ years, I usually focus more on prop making. It was only a couple of months ago that I actually bought my first sewing machine, and because of that, and also because of very insistent friends, I decided to record everything for a YouTube video. But I don't think I'm knowledgeable enough to make a proper sewing tutorial, and I'm not funny enough to make one of those worklogs that Micarah Tewers makes. What I am is ridiculously obsessed with this clown girl, and I have too much information on her. Well, everything really. I mean, if you know me in real life, you know I can't stop cosplaying her or talking about her or collecting a bunch of figurines with her. Oh, you got my point. A quick disclaimer though, I won't be talking about every single iteration of Harley Quinn, only the costumes that changed how she was characterized or perceived. Also, these won't be in chronological order. Instead, I'll be dividing this video into parts or chapters with the costumes that make sense to be bundled up together. For the sewing bit, while I talk about Harley's evolution, I'll be interjecting with some explanation to what I was doing. And I promise you, it won't be too convoluted. Got it? Good. Let's start.
Part 1. The beginning, or making the top. Before I start rambling about Harley's iconic jester look, let me tell you guys about the very first thing I did to the dress. Back when I started doing the dress, I didn't have many quality screenshots available, so I decided to make the top in a sweetheart shape. Since I don't know how to sew at all, I followed 2 tutorials and got super excited to see it working out. Now, when it comes to Harley, we all know that in 1992, Paul Dini, writer of Batman the Animated Series, wanted to diversify Joker's henchmen, and when he found an old video of his college friend Arlene Sorkin dressed up as a medieval court jester for an episode of Days of Our Lives, he immediately knew she had the perfect voice and personality for his new character.
That's when Harley Quinn was born.
Her classic jester costume was designed by Bruce Timm after Paul Dini's self-described misfire. Dini's original design had lots of the basic elements found on many of Harley's versions, like her diamond print, mask, and dual-toned hair and outfit. Personally, I'm glad that they decided to scrap this version, as it's giving me more of a Jetsons futuristic vibe instead of a clown jester, especially with that neckline and the way the dress fits, though I can kinda see Arlene's costume reflected on this design.
When asked about designing what became of Harley's classic costume, Bruce Timm said he doesn't remember much of the process, only that it involved flipping through lots of books of classic Harley Quinns.
The diamond print, black mask, white cuffs, and the form-fitting jumpsuit are elements reflective of Harley's Harley Quinn origins. Meanwhile, the dual-tone nature of her red and black color scheme draws both on Arlene Sorkin's original Days of Our Lives appearance and on classic jester attire.
The color scheme, along with the jester hood, makeup, and neckline, not only make her more unique, but also give her a real sense of connection to the Joker, since most of Joker's real-life playing cards are depicted with jester imagery. It also conveniently follows the trend of superheroes and villains' costumes being extremely form-fitting.
Her classic look is perfect for her first appearance, as it provides audiences with a visual hint of her personality and allegiance. Even though Harley's jumpsuit became her staple costume up until the 2010s, it wasn't the only outfit she ever wore. Still during her Batman the Animated Series run, we got to see Harley's nightgown, Dr. Harley Quinzel, and some other casual looks. Out of those casual looks, I'd like to give a quick mention to the one she wore during the 6th episode of Batman the Animated Series, called Harley's Holiday. In it, she sports her blonde ponytails for what I believe it's the first time, rollerblades, red shorts, and a tight shirt. It isn't stated in any of the research I made for this video, but I really believe this look influenced directors on what a quote-unquote regular look would mean for Harley Quinn. Part 2. Arkham Games Male Gaze, or adding the 2 to the top. Once the sweetheart base was sort of finished, I pinned the entire thing to myself and did a little improvised draping. After that, I cut off an estimated amount that I would need to layer over the base and draped the entire thing on my desk, sewing the sides that I was happy with before moving on to the next. The Arkham Asylum design definitely changed the public's perception of Harley. She was no longer Paul Dini's idea of more cute than beautiful, With her play on the sexy nurse, Harley transitioned to a sex symbol, like her Gotham City Sirens colleagues.
Not to say Harley wasn't a sexy or sexually active character before, as there are many instances in her previous appearances where she is clear with her intentions, even sleeping with professors in the comic that should be required to understand Harley Quinn, aka Mad Love. It's just that Arkham Asylum's flavor of sexualization is different than what she had before.
The reason the game designers gave for not using her classic look was the gritty and realistic tones from the game. But let's be honest, it can also be easily linked to the sexualization of female characters in video games due to the male gaze. In the game, her outfit consists of a low-cut white shirt, tight red corset, a mini skirt, and fishnets paired with dual-colored, this time red and blue, sometimes purple depending on who you ask, thigh-high boots and gloves. Her bra also makes an appearance, a trend that I'm glad didn't carry over to many of her other versions.
The Arkham Asylum game was also a lot of people's introduction to Harley Quinn, and may have been responsible for her further popularity with mainstream audiences.
Style-wise, we can still see the clown/Harley Quinn motif with her makeup and mask, but the outfit itself can be described as a sort of disguise attempt by Harley. 2011 saw the arrival of the awaited sequel, Batman Arkham City, and in it, Harley's costume went through another design change. Now her look was closer to her classic jester outfit, with red and black pants, which brought back, thank God, the Harley Quinn diamonds, and a red and black tank top. The corset, gloves, bra, and boots carried over from the previous game. This was also the first time we saw her dip-dyed pigtails. Honestly, the best way to modernize her jester cowl, a staple that would be easily carried over. It was also in this game that Harley first has any tattoos, and where she said goodbye to her mallet, instead having a candy-striped baseball bat as her weapon of choice. This look was so iconic, it became a new point of reference for any and all other redesigns Harley would suffer along the years, almost as important as her classic jester outfit. Before we move on, I need to quickly mention Assault on Arkham's version. The movie, from 2014, is set in the universe of the Arkham games, before the events of Arkham Asylum. In the film, the Suicide Squad is tasked by Amanda Waller to break into Arkham Asylum. Harley's look in this might be one of my all-time favorites. With the low-rise pants and the crop top, this outfit screams classic Harley but with a modern twist. It makes her sexy without losing much of her classic cartoon self, and the movie does a great job of using her cowl sparingly, letting the blonde hair have its time to shine. Moving on, I'll also be brief when it comes to the last installment of the Arkham franchise. Not because it's not good, but because this look was easily overshadowed by what will be coming only 1 year after its release.
Ooh, foreshadowing!
In Batman Arkham Knight from 2015, Harley gets to shine even brighter, not only because of her importance to the plot, but also because you can actually play as her in one of the game's DLCs. When it comes to her outfit, this one is clearly a mix of the first game with the short skirt and puffed sleeves, and the second game with the red and black color scheme, diamond motif, and pants. Even though this version didn't get much hype, it's a pretty great look for Harley. I particularly like the use of the skirt as it brings to light more of her cute concept. Part 3. The booty shorts era, aka I start making mistakes. After I finished hemming the top, I decided to move on to the skirt. In my head, I thought I could cut the diagonal skirt directly onto the fabric. Obviously, it didn't work. So, I just got this from Amazon to put underneath the dress. It's exactly what I need to do with the skirt. So I could have just bought it on Amazon. So I decided to ignore what I'd done and make a half-circle skirt out of my tulle. The idea was to use the tulle as its own base and add the ruffles into it. But then again, it didn't work. You know what else I think didn't work? Harley's New 52 Suicide Squad redesign.
Look at me doing a segue.
Why do I think this design didn't work? Because it didn't have the lasting power of the other versions, and because I find it ugly. Now, we've talked about how important the Arkham games, especially the first one, were in order to change the public's idea of Harley Quinn. Well, at the same time that the first game was released, DC Comics was working on their own redesign.
Enter 2011's New 52 era.
In 2011, DC rebooted their main universe, also known as the New 52. The relaunch also meant a new outfit for Miss Quinn. The creators stated that the changes implemented had the goal of giving Harley a more edgy and modernized look. The so-called modernized outfit involved a cropped corset which was laced on the front, hot pants, thigh-high socks, and sneakers. Her pigtails were now split-dyed red and black, or blue and black, depending again on who you ask, and she sported a mallet that was definitely inspired by Ramona Flowers. The clown makeup was also long gone, now having her backstory involve a moment in which the Joker throws her into the same acid he was thrown in, making her skin as white as his and dyeing her hair.
Ironically enough, the corset she sported could be considered ahead of its time, since now it's a trend to buy these types of corsets off of Shein or Amazon. Another justification for this look is the separation of Harley from her Joker identity, since being a sex symbol basically involves being romantically involved with any of the male characters from your comic. So her emancipation didn't necessarily start just because of the love audiences had for the character and her individual personality, but also because they wanted to give her as many love interests as, say, Dick Grayson, who, by the way, is also a love interest of Harley.
The scene that explains the separation comes from the comic Harley Loves Joker, written by Paul Dini long after the New 52 run of the Suicide Squad. In it, Harley is in her mind palace, having a conversation with her former self. She spins out of the one-piece jester suit, and it becomes a two-piece.
Out of the booty shorts era though, I need to quickly mention her 2013 Bombshells look, because I absolutely love it. Even though by my standards it should be considered a failure, it just has this element of cuteness and fun that only Harley could bring to a pin-up twist.
Still during the New 52 era, in 2014 Harley received her own solo series. Adopting a more roller derby look justified by the plot, Harley's solo comics run by Amanda Conner and Ginny Palmiotti gave her a look that paid tribute to the old days and helped shape what could be one of her most easily recognizable looks she has. Fun fact, Conner and Palmiotti openly admitted to regularly using cosplayers as an inspiration for many of their Harley designs. Going from the New 52 to the Rebirth era in 2017, Harley dropped the corset for a crop top and the split-dyed hair for the dip dye, something that resembles a certain movie I haven't talked about yet. It was inspired by this run that in 2019 the Harley Quinn animated series came to be, with what many would consider the quintessential, why did I write this? With what many would consider the ultimate version of our favorite clown.
And now the plan is to actually attempt her long skirt and see if I have enough fabric to do it. If I don't have enough fabric to do the long skirt, half of this fabric will become, ruffles. So at least now I have some redo.
Part 4. Injustice Games Made It Tactical. Or Fixing My Mistakes. After seeing that the idea of using only the two wouldn't work because then I'd be left with no fabric to create the ruffles, I found a bit of the red fabric and used it to remake this short half-circle skirt. After that, I cut the two part to fit directly under the new skirt I had created, because stupid me still thought that she could make the full dress. In between the Arkham game sequences was the making and release of Injustice Gods Among Us.
In this game, Harley has two looks. One that I absolutely despise, and one that I adore. I'm going to get the one that I hate out of the way first.
In it, she wears what can only be described as a red and purple tunic, open in the middle and held together with belt buckles, paired with panties, knee-high socks, and combat boots. She also has split-dye pigtails, as usual, sometimes black and sometimes green this time. Now, to the one I actually like. Harley wears a cropped white shirt with a smiley Joker-like face drawn on it, red and black low-rise pants with her panties and lower back tattoo showing, clearly inspired by Arkham City, and a jacket with studs. The only critique I have for this version is her hair. I don't really like how the pigtails look with the pieces of fabric just hanging out. In both of these versions, you can see the influence of the previous looks Harley sported. The first one follows more of a New 52 line of thinking, while the second brings back Arkham City's influence to the table. I think it's also with the second one we see Harley wear a regular customized white shirt for the first time.
Let's be honest. The real icon of this game series comes in its sequel.
In 2017, Injustice 2 was released, and with it came my all-time favorite Harley outfit. Despite the game's customization allowing players to pick and choose how to dress their characters, the way Harley was advertised involved a red corset that zipped up on the front, a tactical vest where she stores her bombs that fastened in the front with belt buckles, red and black pants, a jacket with Batman's symbol on the back and her diamonds inside it, a tactical belt, black combat boots, and retro aviator pilot glasses, pulled directly from her Bombshells run. This version brought together all the best aspects of Harley's outfits up until then. It had the red and black with diamonds motif. It followed in Arkham City's footsteps and modernized Harley in a way that made sense for someone that would be fighting people all the time. Even her hair and face, when the trailer dropped, were pointed out as being incredibly similar to Margot Robbie.
Which, speaking of...
Part 5. David Ayer's punk rock vision. Or stupid me thinking I can make the full dress.
While you watch me struggle to make the full dress, let's talk about the cultural reset that was Harley's cinematic debut.
In 2016, DC, and more specifically Warner Brothers, wanted to follow in Marvel's quote-unquote guaranteed recipe for success. That meant not only establishing the DCU with Batman v Superman, but also making their own version of Guardians of the Galaxy. And DC had the perfect property to transform into a movie where criminals become heroes. So, after a lot of studio interference due to the critical bomb that BVS became, David Ayer's Suicide Squad was released, and with it, a brand new vision for Harley Quinn. In the movie, Harley wears a good amount of outfits, ranging from 2 prison uniforms, a sequin party dress, her Dr. Harley Quinzel attire, and 2 cameos of her classic Jester bodysuit. But the true star of the show, and the look that she wears for most part of the movie, involves the retirement of the iconic red and black for a more red and blue / pink and blue color scheme, which may or may not be an intentional reference to Arlene Sorkin's original Days of Our Lives costume. This outfit involves a white shirt with Daddy's Little Monster written across Harley's chest, hot pants, fishnets, a bomber jacket that reads Property of the Joker, and, my personal favorite, a pair of white boots from Adidas. When it comes to her hair, it followed the trend previously established by Arkham City with the blonde pigtails, only this time it was dyed pink and blue to match her outfit. We also see a more realistic portrayal of her mallet, though in this movie Harley opts to use her goodnight bat.
I remember how this version was both loved and hated at the same time. Fans of the classic Harley criticized how she looked more sexualized with the booty shorts and fishnets. The only problem with this critique is that this isn't that much different from how she already looked in other media. New fans, however, became obsessed, and I think we all remember how Halloween and conventions were insane in 2016. I know this because I join in on the craze. This is the part where I admit I wasn't much of a Harley fan up until the release of the trailer for the Suicide Squad. I was a fan of the animated series and I knew her a bit from the comics, but I didn't actually seek out Harley. If she was there, great, she's great fun, but I wasn't a true Harley fan, as some would say.
Personally speaking though, I actually really like this outfit. It follows David Ayer's vision of a more punk rock Suicide Squad, and it was one of the best options out of the other ones that I found online at least. According to Margot Robbie, there were many variations of the costume, including already iconic looks like the Jester bodysuit and Arkham's corset and skirt. After trying 100 variations of the costume, they found a picture of Debbie Harry, and Margot herself admits to liking it more than the others.
But just because both me, Margot Robbie, and Harley's newly acquired legion of fans really like this look, it doesn't mean it's completely flawless. And no, I'm not about to complain about the daddy's little monster thing that people seem to have a problem nowadays. It made perfect sense in this movie story-wise for Harley to have a jacket with property of the Joker on the back.
The two main flaws with this outfit come with Margot's own discomfort with wearing the hot pants and the outdated trope of women fighting in heels. Starting with the heels, although I absolutely love her boots and find them iconic, they are also extremely impractical. Later movies fix this problem by either removing the heels in its entirety or giving Harley a shorter or larger heel to step on. Her heels also help emphasize many of this movie's gratuitous shots of Margot's butt, which brings me to her hot pants. Even though they've been established in Harley's continuity with her new 52 look, and even though allegedly Margot herself chose Debbie Harry's picture as the inspiration for her costume, she also admitted to not feeling comfortable wearing them. And it honestly makes me sad, as there is a piece of concept art that shows the shorts in a more comfortable length.
Overall, this outfit became Harley's newest staple, surpassing even Arkham City's previous chokehold on any new Harley material, and even making the initial haters love this look so much that when Birds of Prey came out, these same haters were the first one to criticize its look by saying that David Ayers was the true Harley. Also, after this movie, you couldn't find a single version of Harley Quinn that didn't reference at least the pink and blue hair.
Part 6. Birds of Prey female gaze, or making the executive decision of abandoning the full skirt.
Now, where were we? I was attempting to make the full dress. Yeah, that didn't work.
Mainly because the tulle wasn't layering how I expected and remained transparent. So I made the decision of chopping off the skirt and sewing what I already had to the top part. I also used the ugly previous skirt as a way to extend the red base, and honestly, it worked much better than I expected. I won't elaborate much on Harley's many Birds of Prey outfits because this video is already too long for my taste. Instead, I'll be just focusing on her main look for the movie, which involved a cropped pink tank top, jean shorts that look like Harley DIY'd them herself, and orange suspenders. This outfit was complemented during the movie with either a jacket made with confetti and caution tape, a sheer white t-shirt with Harley Quinn written all over, or golden overalls that had an iteration of her diamond pattern, which according to the Birds of Prey costume director Erin Benak was really important to maintain. One of the main premises of the movie is Harley's healing process after breaking up with the Joker, and it reflects in the choices made for her costumes. Her tattoos were covered up in funny ways, like the J on her shoulder becoming a mermaid, and instead of wearing a top that says Daddy's Little Monster, she wears a t-shirt with her name printed all over, referencing how she belongs to no one but herself. This costume was an absolute win for making Harley less sexualized and more relatable to her female-presenting and female-identifying fans. And even though I absolutely love this look and consider it to be on my top 5 Harley Quinn versions of all time, I wouldn't say it's as iconic as the others on this list. For one, it doesn't follow any of the previously established costumes, and so it can build upon them, which weakens its staying power. Instead, it's said to be inspired by both modern street culture, as in what are the kids wearing these days? Yes, the official costume designer said that, and classic jester attire in order to reference Harley's origins in a more subtle way. It also doesn't bring any of her previously established color schemes, referencing only the pink and blue from her pigtails.
There are also way too many variations of this same outfit, which is great for grounding the character in reality by making her repeat, just like normal people, many of the pieces she has, but it's a bad call in order to make an iconic movie look. It also didn't help that this movie only had 1 year and a couple of months before the next iteration came out, one that pleased fans on both sides of the spectrum.
Part 7. James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, aka finally assembling my dress. Now that I'd fixed the skirt and was pretty happy with it, all that was left to do was sew it to the top, add the sleeves, and the zipper.
Guess it's finally time to talk about the movie where this dress comes from, huh?
A quick warning for some light spoilers. Don't worry, I won't talk about who dies or not. Just give a brief context to the scenes where these outfits come from. Also, this part will be shorter than the others just because the script was written as the movie came out, so there isn't much besides what we can see during the movie. The Suicide Squad starts off with Harley sporting what James Gunn says is an Arkham City and Injustice 2 inspired look, merging City's sex appeal with Injustice tactical realism. It's also a more armored look than both video game versions, making it even more realistic than both games. It also brings elements from the New 52 comics and beyond with the star and diamond accents on her corset. I loved seeing a look that had so many references to some of Harley's best variations, and you can tell this was crafted with the same love and attention as, say, a Captain America suit would.
Is it in my top 5 though? Not really.
Just like the gold and black diamond dress from the first Suicide Squad, or the roller derby reference from Birds of Prey, this is definitely an iconic look, but it lasts only 10 minutes, maybe less. For the rest of the movie, Harley wears a red dress that is gifted to her. It has sparkles all over and makes her feel like a princess, as she should. But like the trailers have already shown us, this princessy look doesn't last and becomes more and more distressed after some fighting. Even though it's literally the simplest Harley has ever dressed, I can see this having some lasting power. Not as great as her classic Arkham City or David Ayer looks, but enough to be recognized by many for years to come. This is because it's the first dress Harley actually wears during a long period of time, and its red shimmer will definitely catch cosplayers' eyes, and it can also be easily replicated during Halloween months.
James Gunn, along with Margot Robbie and the costume designers, managed to create a look that had so few links to Harley's original design and still made sense to be hers.
Part 8. Conclusion and dress review.
Harley Quinn has had many variations throughout the years, and she's been cemented as DC's fourth pillar alongside Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. At her best, she's an iconic jester-like character with a chokehold on Halloween and cosplayers alike, as she can be both tactical, sexy, and fun at the same time. At her worst, she's one of the most sexualized characters in the DC lineup, and barely resembles her original intent, being completely misunderstood by writers and character designers. But no matter which is your favorite version, we can all agree Harley is a character who's fun to experiment with and to follow as she evolves more and more. Now for the review of the dress. I hope you guys enjoyed this super long ramble on one of my favorite obsessions. If you did, please leave a like and comment which one of Harley's outfits is your favorite. Also comment if you liked this kind of video essay plus cosplay worklog video type thing, because I have some ideas on how to make more of them. Also, I may post a tutorial on how I dyed this wig. I'm still thinking of re-dyeing the red because it didn't stick as much as I wanted to, but if I do, you'll see it eventually in this channel. That's it for me for now. See y'all later. Bye!